Hi, I'm sitting here with Sheri Hoffmann, a very dear friend. And Sheri and I have known each other for about 10 years. Our kids met in preschool.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
It is a long time.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
It's gone fast, hasn't it?
Yes.
Well, so I have to say, first of all, I want to say, thank you for doing this with me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I adore you. I hope you know that.
I adore this woman too.
It's just going to be a little love fest for a second. No, but Sheri has been sort of coaching me on something for years. Probably actually almost since I've met you, really. And it's been about going from constant yes to contented yes. And I just think that's such an important topic and something, we don't really talk about too often.
Yep.
So when I heard that you were actually going to be writing a book about it and doing a seminar on it, I was just so excited, and I wanted to talk to you and so that you could share about what you're doing. And so if you don't mind, we'll just jump on in.
Sure.
So what started this for you? What made you think about this topic?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me into your home to do this today. It basically started where I was a volunteer, much like you, a mom, in the era of having children where you're constantly being asked for your time to serve or give someone a favor or somebody request your time to be a volunteer. And I found that I said yes to everything because I thought we had to say yes. And I said yes for all the wrong reasons. I'd say it because I was shamed into it or guilted into it or pressured into it, and I ended up having all these obligations that were over and above my normal life.
Yeah.
And I ended up being burned out at the end of a school year or an event or a season, just bitter and resentful.
Yeah.
And I didn't like feeling like that. And we have children still in the school system.
Yeah.
And I said, we can't survive this era if we're bitter all the time. And we like to serve and volunteer, and I need to make it to the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw the damage that it did to certain people. I saw friendships just fall apart because of overcommitting.
Yeah.
I saw health issues crop up with people. I saw the cause that was being served by the volunteers. I saw it completely break apart because no one wanted to volunteer anymore. I saw people pull themselves out of the volunteer world because they were just done.
Yeah. And if you're doing it for the wrong reasons,
Yes.
then, like you said, your health is going to suffer, your emotional well-being is going to suffer,
Yes.
and I've seen that too, and that's why when I found out that you had such a good process for handling it, I wanted to find out, and it's helped me so much over the years. So
I'm glad.
yeah, no, thank you. So you're writing a book about it.
I'm writing a book about it because I decided I needed to come up with something to survive. And so I came up with a filter system, which is 4 questions that I ask myself. And it helped to separate out the nuisance yeses to put me in with the right yeses that I was meant for. So it wasn't a reason to get out of doing things. It was just to redirect my time and energy to the right places that I would be good at doing and would be served by me.
And I think that's a good point too, because I won't speak for everybody, but I feel like, for myself, sometimes it's almost like a habit to say yes.
Yes.
It's just, you kind of feel like
Yes.
it's the thing to do. It's, you're supposed to do it. You want to help, you wanted to do the right thing. So you just automatically say yes, and you don't ever give yourself, allow yourself to really think about it. And, will it serve you personally well? And that's important.
Right. And will it serve, if you come to it with the right reasons, you will serve that cause better because you'll probably give it, you're going to give it your time and your passion, and it's going to go off much better because you said yes in a very thoughtful way. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't, in the early days, I would say yes. That was my default mode because we were raised to say yes.
Yeah.
And I realized that saying a very thoughtful yes is very different, and it puts you in the right places. And there will never be a shortage of people asking you to do things. And I found, requests come from everywhere. They come from your own family, from friends, neighbors, schools, any activities your kids are involved in, church, the community. And I notice it doesn't just impact moms. I notice that people that are in college have the same issue. Girl Scouts have the same issue. People who don't have children, people who work inside the home, outside the home, men, women, empty nesters, and retired people. Like the whole gamut of people struggle with too much yes.
It's true. And I have to say, so when I first started, having kids and, kind of started my motherhood, I was a lot more, I don't want to say, stressed maybe about, being asked about things. And since, working with you, I really feel it's such a more peaceful state of mind.
Yes, I see it.
Do you?
Yes.
I feel it too. And it's just, it's so much easier to handle those kind of questions and just be able to really think about, like you said, does it serve me? Does it serve my family well? And because you'd mentioned about moms, something that I never really thought about before was how does it affect my family when I take on different, whatever jobs or whatever. So I think that's kind of an important thing that you shed light on for me too.
Yes, is that I think we all feel like we need to say yes to everything, and not everything is a good fit for us.
Right.
And it's okay to let it go by, and someone else who's better at that thing should have it. Yeah. And I tell people that you got to think about your home, your family, your work, and yourself. Nail all that down first, and whatever's left over is up for grabs for the rest of the world. And sometimes that's just 2 hours a week. And sometimes we say yes to 12 hours worth of stuff. And it starts to impact relationships and impacts our health and our stress level.
Definitely. So what else do you have in the future besides your book? What else are you up to?
Well, I brought this up with a friend who's a writer, and I said, I've come up with this concept to help me filter out so I can survive the next 20 years, apparently for the rest of my life, because it impacts us through our whole life. Yeah. And she said, I think you have a book. And so I started writing down all my thoughts, and I suddenly found out I have about 100,000 words on this topic right now.
Wow.
And so that's about maybe 180 pages of just random thoughts of observing the volunteer world and being in it myself and listening to people. And so I have that book, and I decided that I needed to test some of those concepts out in the real world. And so I gave some workshops, and I've had a chance to be in 4 of them, test driving some of these concepts, and they work. People who listen to these workshops nod a lot, like, because we all know that we're in the same boat. Yeah,
I have to mention that I've actually taken your workshop.
Yes,
and it was amazing. All of the speakers there were amazing.
Yes,
and I walked out of it knowing even more than what we've talked about over the years. So
yes,
very good.
And Lori is she practices like she's the perfect student, because Lori already puts these concepts into play, which has enabled her to even do this right now. Like, you have really good boundaries in your mind, and I feel like you have compartmentalized your time so that you could take on this sort of project, interviewing people. You weren't asked to do this. You had time to seek it out.
True.
Right?
You know what? That's absolutely true. And I really have to give you credit, because I really feel like I learned my boundaries from you, like learning how to make the boundaries and use my time efficiently, so it's something that I'm, feel good about.
Yes.
So,
yes.
And that's so important.
I see it all the time, yes.
Yeah, well, thank you. So the workshop that you did.
Yes, that was put together by Adrienne Rockwell, who is one of our lovely Venetians, and she produced a series of workshops in town, and we're supposed to have one in 2019.
Oh, okay.
And they're called Flying in Formation Workshops to Live Your Life, or Lift Your Life, and we're probably going to have one in the fall of 2019 with we have wonderful life coaches that for a whole 2 days, you get 2 hours with each person presentation, and it's the format could change, but you get a chance to be with a lot of really well-spoken healers and coaches. So
yeah, unfortunately I was only able to go to one day of the workshop,
Yeah.
but I wish I could have done the 2 days, because at the end of it, you walk away just feeling like so at peace and so full of community and
Yes.
and love, and it was a really
Yes.
great experience.
I even go to them. That's right. I even go to everybody's. And my goal when you walk out of mine is the technique that I teach you. It's the 4 questions. It's like the basic thing is people use it immediately when they get in their car, when they drive away from the session. I notice that I'm happier once I've used it, and I feel like people have told me the next day they already tried it and saw a change in just their happiness level, and they weren't overwhelmed as much.
I believe that, because I already knew about it going into the workshop, but having you actually teach it just really nailed it in for me. And like you said, from that moment on, I just have this process, these questions that you talk about, that I ask myself for so many things that come into my life, and I follow those questions.
Yes.
To help me get to the answer, whether it's something that I want to do or not. So
yes, and it's something everybody can use. No age, every gender, every station in life, you can use these questions. So
I agree.
Yes. So I hope to have the book out soon, and I am really curious about opening up my home to having small group workshops. I'm expanding that this year. That's my goal, is people can call me up, and if you have a group of people, 3 to 5 people, I come to the home and speak for 2 hours. You can come to my home. I can speak to groups who use volunteers or groups who are volunteers.
Oh, that's good.
And just help you with techniques on how to ferret out if you really have time for something, and how to question whether you should do it or not.
Perfect. And now, what about one-on-one? Do you do anything with somebody who wants to
Yes.
one-on-one?
I think I could do it FaceTime or Zoom. I'd be interested in that. Would expand. Anybody around the world could give me a call too, and we could talk on the phone. And so that's where I'm expanding this fall, is to try it out with real people while I'm in the middle of writing my book.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So for somebody, or maybe a group who wants to get in contact with you, is there an email or something?
Yes, I have a fresh new email for this process, and it's called wellandhere@gmail.com, and we'll put it in the comments. And the way I came up with well and here was I dictated volunteer into my phone, and my phone's a lot smarter than I am, and it came out well and here, which is kind of where I try to get all my volunteers to, where they're well, mentally, they're feeling happy about what they've just signed up for, and they're here, meaning they're present. They're not regretting that they said yes to this thing. They're not wishing they were working somewhere else on a project. They're present. And so that's my goal, is to get you to that point.
Thank you. I love that name, by the way. Before we say goodbye, I have to ask you, what are these eggs for? They're beautiful, by the way.
I am big on props. If you come to my seminars, I do not use PowerPoint. I'm old school. So I love nests and birds, and I thought about how it's a metaphor for how our time and our talents and our skills are like eggs, and the world is circling around trying to take them out of our nest, and we have a finite amount. And so we should act like the eagles who kind of mantle over it and protect it and make sure it goes to the right places. So I kind of use it as a metaphor for protecting your treasured time, talents, and passion, and make sure it goes to the right places.
I love that.
Yes.
Very good.
And then my little 4-question tag will be the filter that helps you direct where all this goes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you,
time
Lori.
today,
Yeah.
and thank you for listening.
Yes. Thank you. Hope to talk to you soon.